Hi, everyone. Welcome to Unfiltered Flow ELSC. I'm Meghann Cook, and today it's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Chuck Tuggle to the show. Hi, Chuck.
Thanks, Megan. Hello, Megan.
Good to
Thanks
see
for
you.
having me. It's good to see you as well.
All right, Chuck, my favorite question. How'd you get into the fluid power industry?
Well, I wanted to play football, so I was out in the world. I was actually a banker working in operations, and University of Alabama Birmingham decided to start a football program, and I wanted to play football. So I go back, take some classes, and had enrolled in some classes in this new field called industrial distribution. This was back in the late 80s, early 90s. Got in there, and by the time I was done with eligibility, had enough for a new degree. And went interviewed with a Parker distributor, and here I am 33 years later.
Nice.
So
Football. Football did it for you.
absolutely. Hey, when you live in Alabama, that's kind of first, second, third priority after God, family, and mom. So,
That's right.
you know,
Very good. So, in the 33 years, what would you say is the most fun and or important project that you've worked on?
well, I guess, there's a couple. My very first one right out of school, literally walk in the door and I'm doing a system for Space Station Freedom. We were doing a test fixture to test the bolts that were being used on the universal docking ring. Excuse me. So, but I'd say my most important happened in the mid 2000s, and it was on the rear ramp systems on the MRAPs that we were rapidly fielding. So we essentially went in a 60-day period. We went from a pallet full of parts at a major OEM to a system that was launched and in the field and in theater, I'd say within 60 to 90 days.
Wow.
And from the time we started to the time we actually finished and got everything into the final version, we had made significant improvements in reliability, performance on the order of at least a 450 to 500% improvement in performance. So it did it in just record time and speed. We had a great team. Again, this is when I was with Parker Hannafin in the hydraulic cartridge systems division. Everybody pulled together and made it happen for a critical time. It brought a lot of folks home who probably wouldn't have made it. So I was probably one of the most important things I've ever worked on.
Yeah, that's cool. So, obviously, some changes in 33 years, and one of those being smart technology, IoT, and the integration um, into machines now. So, what have you seen in changes in that regard?
Well, remember, folks like myself and Alan, we're older than Google. Okay, so the Internet of Things and network systems, be it vehicle based with CAN J 1939, or the network systems that are in today's industrial systems, just makes everything connected. Before, nobody wanted a wire. Now everything's got a wire. We're doing advanced access control. I guess give you an example, and this is something that's really, I guess, in the past 20 something years we've actually had this capability, but just having everything at our fingertips and being able to reach out and connect everything and know how systems are performing. It's really neat. Give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, I'm in the airport trying to grab a bite to eat before I'm flying home. Customer calls and says, "Hey, we got a problem. We're throwing some errors, and we need you to take a look at something real quick." So I'm sitting there, having a bite to eat, like I said, and I'm connected into their machine and seeing where the faults are, clearing the faults, and then saying, "Oh, well, here's the issue. If you'll make this change, everything should be great." In the span of 15 minutes, with a customer who is now about an hour and a half away, was able to get them up and running. I also think of the systems that are available for the forestry industry. For an example, the loggers can go out in a harvester and they can select the tree, cut the tree, indicate what type of wood it is, and at the end of the day, they'll compare the board foot of what they've harvested with the commodity values of the day, and they know by the end of the day they know how much money they made or lost. So it's really incredible. Yeah.
Well, for professionals, either in the industry currently, Chuck, or even the green beans that are coming in that are
Right.
working to get into the industry, what piece of advice would you give them, or what skills and knowledge would you recommend, that they wrap their head around to be successful in the industry?
I guess the best thing you can do is just stay curious. We got a lot of neat stuff that's coming down the pike. Not only what's here today, but what's coming tomorrow. Like I said, I started my career with a guy who would say, "Hey, if I can't adjust it with a screwdriver, I don't want it." And now, we've got systems that with the latest in AI, we're going to be, in a truly autonomous world, both industrially, mobily. I can remember working on an application and we're out in the woods working on some equipment, and all of a sudden this truck drives by. There's not a driver. This was 20 years ago. And, we're like, what? And, suddenly we found the guys who were running their test rig because we were using the same test field. And these guys were doing autonomous vehicle operations 20 something years ago. The new AI cameras are going to allow us the ability to recognize material defects, hazards, the level of autonomy. We already have some autonomy today. I think everybody's got a vehicle with lane departure, active cruise control where it slows down, it'll stop your vehicle, things like that. I've had a few applications where I've done some of that. That's just been really neat. And just what's coming down the pike with AI and vision systems is it's going to be a game changer.
For sure. Well, with everything that's going on and all the fun new stuff that's rolling out right now, what
Yeah,
would you say is the biggest challenge in the industry right now?
there's a lot more gray hair than there's than not. My previous position, I was the second youngest guy on the team.
Really?
Yeah, and we're starting to see some younger people that join the industry coming in through university and through the tech schools. The guys who are coming out of the tech schools are some of the sharpest ones we're starting to see. Even to the point of where we're looking at those guys as salespeople as opposed to just service and application and engineering. Because a guy who can put his hands on a piece of equipment and solve the problem, it's a huge asset for any organization.
And you're right. And that's what it is. Coming out of tech school is a little bit different than classroom. And
Right.
fluid power is one of those
Yeah.
industries where classroom experience really doesn't do it for you. So,
And it's funny because I've kind of worked around the edges with some of the bicycle challenges and things like that,
mhm.
and watching these engineers try to figure it out. And generally, the guys who are more successful is the team that's going to have a guy that has a little more hands-on, the gearhead type that can kind of see and think mechanically. The more academics are able to, make things maybe a little more efficient, but those guys who have the knack or the skill to solve that problem with the mechanical world, those are definitely great assets to have.
Acquisition, I have to ask. So
Acquisition,
with everything that's been going on,
yeah,
acquisition is at the forefront in fluid
right.
power, whether it's manufacturing or distribution. It runs the gamut here. What do you think about all the acquisition, and what do you see, if anything, that is changing in the industry?
Gotcha. It's a good thing for the industry because it strengthens the players in the marketplace. It gives companies the opportunity to offer more than just a unique piece of the industry. Having the ability to solve the problem from beginning to end is wonderful. The challenges that it brings is anytime a company goes out and acquires another, you're going to have some reduction in force. You're going to have less, fewer people involved because there's a lot of redundancy that comes along with it. And there's situations where, they've already got a duplicate or similar product, and the product rationalization doesn't always fall out in the favor of customers and the employees. So there's a little bit of angst to be had there. But with that, there's tremendous opportunity. Somewhere there's somebody that's going to get upset and decide, you know what, I'd rather work for a smaller company. And they're going to go develop a new piece of technology that he can't get through the standard gate review that a large corporation brings. So while it's good, like it can be considered good and bad. So I think it's more positive though, because it does eventually it fosters more creativity and competition.
Okay, one more question for you. This is an
Sure.
off the books one too.
Okay.
So 3 years ago,
Yeah.
Chuck's just getting into the industry.
Right.
What would you tell him? Or what piece of advice would you give him?
Ask. Put your hands in your pockets. Don't touch nothing. Ask more questions than give answers. And find the old guy who eats apple slices off a knife blade. Okay,
Is he typically the guy that does the maintenance on the equipment, or is he the heavy equipment
man.
operator, Chuck?
I got to tell you, I learned more from guys like Paul Morrow at Vickers, traveling with him when I was a young account manager on the mobile team there, and my application guy, Steve Pollitt. I learned more from those guys, learning how to fix the stuff that didn't work and figure out, hey, we probably shouldn't have done it like that, than I did sitting in any product training, any marketing class, or sales presentation, and the service guy. Everybody's always glad to see the service guy
Yeah.
because he's the guy coming in to fix the problem. You know, by the time he leaves, you've got a happy customer. So they catch a little less grief. The sales guy, he catches a little more grief. And the application guy is the smart guy that makes the sales guy look good.
Mhm.
But
Need
yeah,
all of
that's
them.
that's my advice. Absolutely.
Well, Chuck, I know you're busy. Appreciate your time, taking the time out to talk today. Have a good rest of your week.
Hey, Megan, thanks. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye now.